Hello everyone. So today we are starting a new chapter, that is the chapter Respiratory System of class 9th. So in this chapter we will study about the definition, types of respiration and the parts of respiration and further so on. So first, starting with the introduction of this respiratory system, we need to understand about the human respiratory system and the process of respiration. So if you know, you have already studied in your previous classes that respiration is a chemical process in which the glucose molecules, as we eat in the form of food, so the glucose molecules broke down to release the energy for carrying out other life processes or any metabolic activities. So the respiration is a chemical process in which the food molecules get broke down, and from that food molecules and the breaking down of that food molecules give us a huge amount of energy to do our physical work. So this is the chemical equation of the respiration, in which the C6H12O6 is the glucose formula, chemical formula, and here the O2 is the oxygen. With the help of the oxygen and the glucose, they get broke down into the carbon dioxide, some amount of water, and in energy. So here the energy will defines the amount of work we can do. So starting with the types of respiration, we need to understand about the respiration can occur either in the presence of oxygen or absence of oxygen. So on the basis of the presence of or absence of the oxygen, respiration process is of two types. The first one is the aerobic respiration. In this aerobic respiration occurring in the presence of O2, and most common types of the respiration process takes place in the animals as we humans also. So if you talk about in the animals and the in humans, we respire through in the presence of oxygen. So if you were asked to say about which respiration process we do, so you have to answer that we are always doing aerobic respiration. So here the chemical formula of the aerobic respiration, in which the glucose with the combination of the oxygen broke down into the carbon dioxide, that is the waste, and here a small amount of water with the 38 ATP. Here the 38 ATP is the currency of energy and some amount of heat also. So this is the aerobic respiration's chemical equation. Now the second type, that is the anaerobic respiration. So in anaerobic respirations occurring in the absence of oxygen, and very few animals can respire anaerobically. So the example is the tapeworm. So here the chemical equation of the anaerobic respiration. Here the glucose molecules breaks down into the lactic acid, and only 2 ATP of energy, very small amount of energy it's give out with a small amount of heat energy. So in aerobic respiration we all know that the 38 ATP energy is given out, but in anaerobic respiration there is no oxygen and the amount of energy is also small. So anaerobic respiration is a slow process and produce a very less energy as compared to the aerobic respiration, and anaerobic respiration can occurs in our muscle cells also, though it is a temporary process. And during the heavy exercises you have also seen that our muscle work too fast but do not receive enough oxygen to derive the energy. So in that case they start respiring in the absence of oxygen, and this result in the production of lactic acid in different types of muscles area, and the accumulation of this lactic acid will result in the muscle cramps, or such condition is also known as the oxygen debt. So what is this oxygen debt? When when body didn't get enough amount of oxygen during any physical or muscle work, so body start respiring in the absence of oxygen. Due to that they form the lactic acid, and the accumulation of this lactic acid forms the muscle cramps in several body parts. That's why this condition is known as the oxygen debt. Now we will talk about the part of respiration. So in human there are four major parts of respiration, starting with the breathing. So breathing is a physical process in which the oxygen rich air from the surrounding is taken inside our body, and CO2, that is rich in, or we can say rich air, is expelled out. or from our body internal organs. So breathing is a physical process in which the oxygen is taken in from the surrounding, and the CO2 that is from our body, there is waste, or we can say the used CO2 that is expelled out from the body. So this process is known as the breathing. Second one, that is the gaseous transport. So respiration also occurs with the part of the gaseous transport, in which firstly the exchange of gases occurs in the lungs. We should know that. And the oxygen absorbed by the blood or in the lungs is carried to the other body parts as a oxyhemoglobin. So oxygen with the combination of the blood, it forms the oxyhemoglobin, and that is transported, or that is absorbed by the lungs, sorry, by the blood in the lungs. And in the case of CO2, the CO2 from the tissue is transported to the lungs through blood, either as the bicarbonate or in the form of carbaminohemoglobin by combining with the hemoglobin. After that, there is the third part of the respiration, that is the tissue respiration. In this tissue respiration, the capillaries that transport both arteries and the veins, or the combination of the arteries and the veins. So the capillaries deliver the oxygen to the body cells and pick up the carbon dioxide by them, and this exchange of gases occurs by the process of diffusion. So tissue respirations is due to the diffusion process, in which the oxygen is delivered to the body cells and the carbon dioxide that is released by them is taken out. Now in case of cellular respiration, it involves the complex chemical reaction inside the cell, that in which the oxygen is utilized to break down the glucose to release energy. So from here we will understand about the organs that and the structure that helps us in the breathing, that involves the nozzle or the nostrils, that we breathe in air passes through our nostril into the nasal cavity. So in the next part of the video, we will understand about the part of the human respiratory system that involves the nose, pharynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and so on. So till then, thanks for watching this part.